Okay, for this next lesson, we're going to be talking about the addition of new western states. And it's the first time we've added new land and new territory in a while. Last time we were talking about the Missouri Compromise, which was the compromise that allowed Missouri to come in as a slave state as long as Maine came in as a free state. The balance of power was balanced in the Senate. Now, the most important thing to understand going forward is that the Senate is an extremely important part of our government. It is half of our Congress. Even though there are fewer senators than representatives, they still have to agree on everything, or there will be no laws or no actions taking place. The Senate is distributed 2 members for each state. Since there are 11 free states and 11 slave states before the Missouri Compromise, no northern state would allow a slave state to come in, and no southern state would allow a free state to come in. Henry Clay took it upon himself to try to settle that issue. Didn't settle the issue of slavery, wasn't trying to stop or continue it. He just wanted it to not be a part of the discussion when adding new states to our country. So 25 years goes by. Henry Clay and the rest of them aged 25 years. But what doesn't seem to go away is that slavery is an issue that cannot be kept out of the foreground, even if they keep it in the background for a little while. In the 1840s, the heated debate moves back into Congress. Once again, the cause is adding new states and new territories to the country. The new territories involved are going to be Texas, New Mexico, and California. Now, Texas is going to be first because they won their own independence from Mexico in 1836. However, New Mexico and California were still parts of Mexico. Many Southerners hope to see Texas, where slavery already existed, join the Union. As a result of the annexation or the invasion and taking of Texas, that will become a main issue in the presidential election of 1844, where we've already seen the Whigs splinter over sectional issues and had no leadership because their president, Whig President Tyler, was actually a Democrat in disguise, more or less, for lack of a better term. And they had no leadership. And when you have no leadership, the followers do not know where to go, and it is too hard to win elections. It's too hard to maintain your power. Democrat James K. Polk of Tennessee, he is going to easily win election by saying that we need to acquire Texas and make Texas a state. And this is going to help win him the election. And he's going to do exactly as he says. He's going to take Texas forcefully. There will be blood. Texas will become a state in 1845, and at the same time, support for taking over New Mexico and California will also grow in the South as a way to increase the Southern position by including slavery in new parts. As you remember, the Missouri Compromise only applied its line between North and South in already acquired territory of the Louisiana Territory. It did not make any mention or could do nothing about new territories that had not been acquired yet. So the South saw this as a limit because the northern section of the Louisiana Purchase was much larger than the southern section as drawn out in the Missouri Compromise. So going back to the South and the North, we are divided and everybody wants a foothold, and at the very least, everybody wants to keep the power from being overpowered by the other side. So we're going to have constant arguments and constant debates. Just months after the Mexican War begins, over taking land from Mexico like New Mexico and California, we have a representative from Pennsylvania, a northern state, named David Wilmot. He is going to get out ahead of any future plans by introducing a proposal called the Wilmot Proviso. It's basically going to say that slavery should be prohibited, should be banned, should be kept from happening in any lands that we might acquire from Mexico. Southerners are going to protest, obviously, because they see the South growing in power only if they can create slavery in technically southern parts of our nation. If you looked at a map, California, New Mexico, most of it is a southern area, and they're trying to try to keep the South and their power by taking California and turning it into a slave state, same as New Mexico. So Southerners are going to are going to protest any prohibition of slavery in this new section. They want to keep slavery open so California and New Mexico can become slave states. So backing the slave state and the South is Senator John C. Calhoun of South Carolina. He has another proposal. He is going to counter the Wilmot Proviso by stating that neither Congress nor any territorial government has the right or authority to ban slavery from a territory or regulate it in any way. So we have two sides of the coin here. Wilmot wants to stop slavery from spreading into California and New Mexico, and Calhoun said there is no government on earth that can stop it or ban it or tell anybody what to do in any way with their slaves. He wants total and utter freedom to own slaves, and the North wants to stop slavery before it spreads. And this is going to be a common theme. We're not going to try to stop slavery because no one knows how to go into the southern states and force people to do what they absolutely do not want to do. Not without force, at least, and that's kind of an option that nobody wants to go down because that will lead to a lot of death and a lot of destruction of our nation. So we're going to go and keep this academic. We're going to say, what if we did this? What should we do? And so the senators in our Congress are going to try to decide on how we're going to go forward. Now, of course, since there's an equal balance of power between slave states and free states, neither Wilmot nor Calhoun and their proposals are going to pass. It will cause a lot of argument. It will cause a lot of anger, but nothing will happen. And by 1848, the United States will have California and New Mexico and Texas as either states or territories that are going to become states very soon. So these issues are pressing. But the issue of slavery, no one's going to take any action just yet. While this is happening, we are going to have another election in 1848. And we're going to have that debate over slavery. It's going to lead to a new political party. We will still have the Whig Party, and they're going to choose a man named Zachary Taylor. He's a Southerner and a war hero, following the mold of the war heroes who have been elected in the recent past in Harrison and Jackson, both war heroes, both famous, well-known figures, easily electable. Who's a Southerner. That should appeal to Southerners who want to have their candidate be from the South. And we're going to have the Democrats, and they're going to take a Northerner. Kind of the same idea. You can't be from both places, so you try to win a lot of votes from the places that these people are from, or the sections in this case. Neither candidate is going to shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak, by picking a side. Northerners, Southerners alike are both going to take no side on slavery. However, people want there to be a side. People want to hear their leaders take a side. So the failure to take a position is going to anger voters. So a lot of anti-slavery Democrats and Whigs, they're going to leave those parties, and they're going to form a new party called the Free Soil Party, with an old Liberty Party that was not in existence for very long. The new party is going to say free soil, free speech, and free labor, free men. And this means they are explicitly wanting to ban slavery. Wilmot and his proviso, his ideas of banning slavery, will be their party platform. They will endorse and they will sponsor and support no slavery in the new territories. The party is going to take Martin Van Buren as their presidential candidate. You might find that this is not the greatest idea, since he was still not liked because of his behavior during the 1837 panic and subsequent 6-year depression. Whig candidate Zachary Taylor will win by successfully appealing to both slave and free states. Taylor is going to defeat Lewis Cass 163 to 127 in the election, and Van Buren will only take 14% of the popular vote and no electoral votes. 13 candidates from the Free Soil parties will win seats in Congress, but since they're from the North, this is going to be more or less nothing changes. If they were from the South and they would vote against Southern interests, that would be something. But they're from the North, and the Northern party, the Northerners in the Senate and the Congress, are mainly against letting the South have their way in increasing the spread of slavery. So this will do it for this issue. Be careful. We have a little bit more to go on this section. We haven't talked about what California wants to do. And now President Taylor is going to be in charge of the country while we're going to turn California into a state. Remember, California has a lot of gold, and gold is money no matter who you are or where you live on this planet. And California is filled with it. So turning it into a state is going to be the best idea for everybody involved. But how do we do it? On the next episode of Mr. Weatherall's class. You guys have a good day.